Hello, my name is David Staples. I've been working in the IT field for a number of years, and I've decided to create a video series to share some tips, tricks, and useful features of a number of different applications. So I hope you find these useful, and thank you for watching. So today let's talk about how to use the SUMIF and COUNTIF functions within Microsoft Excel. So I'm using the 2011 version for the Mac, but this same formula works across I would imagine every version of Excel. If not everyone, then at least most of them. So whether you're using 2010, 2007, if you're using the new 2013, this should work just the same for all of those. So to start off with, let's talk about the SUMIF function. So let's assume that we've got a spreadsheet that has, here's an example that I'm using for this one, perhaps an inventory spreadsheet. And we want to find out what the summed value is of all of our Fords, or all of our Toyotas, or all of our Jeeps, or all of our Hondas. So what I could do is I could actually create a function right over here. So let's say I want Ford, I want Toyota, I want Jeep, and I want Honda, since those are our four different categories. And let's just go ahead and remove the formatting from this one here so that it looks just the same as all the rest. So now I've got Ford, Toyota, Jeep, and Honda. So my formula, if I type in an equal sign, that will start the formula. And now we're going to type in sum if, and then open our parentheses. And so next we need to see what the criteria is going, or what range we're going to be looking for our criteria in. So here we're going to be looking through our make column to look and see if something is equal to something. So then we put in a comma, and now I'm looking for criteria. So I've got two ways of doing this. I can either type in double quotes Ford, or since I've got the word already typed in over here that I'm looking for, I can just choose that particular cell value as the one that I'm looking for. And I type in another comma, and then I need to tell it the range that I'm going to sum as well. That should be right down from the other one. So here I'm using D3 through D16, which corresponds with the B3 through B16. I close my parentheses, and now when I press the enter sign, we see that we have 20,000 plus 15,000. So we should actually come up with a value here of 35,000. So I'll press the enter key, and there's our 35,000. And I can copy this down to our Toyota, our Jeep, and our Honda. But there is one change that I need to make here first. So over here, we're going to change our B3 to B16 to have dollar signs so that these don't end up moving down one. So these are absolute cells, not relative cell values. So now if I copy this and I paste this formula down here, 44,000 should actually be the value of our Toyota, because remember we're using the reference cell here, Toyota, to look up our values. So if I come over here to Toyotas and I just quickly select these, down at the bottom I see my sum is 44,000. And I could also come over here and just do a quick sum as well. So equals sum, select the values out to the side of my Toyotas, which they all happen to be in a row here. If they weren't in a row, of course that would be a little more difficult, but we see that the value does add up correctly. So now I can come down here and do the same for Jeep, the same for Honda, and just like that we have our values of all of those particular vehicles. So let's say that I didn't want the Fords. Let's say that I wanted all of my Camrys. So I could just type in Camry here, and it should actually, once we change this to the right column, so that it's looking up out of our model column instead of the make column, we should actually see the value of our Camrys. So we see 14,000 here and 14,000 there. 14,000 plus 14,000, of course, is 28,000. So we'll just undo that. So we're back to Ford with 35,000, just to kind of reset that to where we were. So let's say that I no longer had any Fords, and let's say I got in a couple of Dodge Ram, Dodge Charger. Now you see over here to the right, my forward value actually dropped to 0 because as I'm changing the spreadsheet, those automatically recalculate. So we don't have to recalculate those every time or click any extra buttons or anything like that. So now let's say that we want to do a SUMIF, or a COUNTIF function rather, so that we can see how many of each of these we have. So what we could do is we hit equals to start our formula. We say COUNTIF, and then we use a parentheses to open our part of the formula here. And here it's going to be looking through the range, just like we did with the SUMIF. So we're going to use the same column here to start off with, just B for the make, and then we'll put a comma, and then we need the criteria. And again, I can either put in the forward in quotation marks just like that, and close the parentheses, and we see right now there's 0. But if you watch that while I change these over here, forward F150 and forward F350, you'll see that that automatically increments as I changed column B, so that now we have forwards. Of course, if I copy this down and paste it down here, and of course we add our $signs and make sure that we're looking at the right range here, it still says 2 because I'm using that parentheses. However, if we take out our parentheses here and we say look at cell F2 for the criteria, we can see that it's still 2. When I copy this down here to Toyota, to Jeep, and to Honda, it's now 2, 3, 4, and 5 because that's how many we have of each one. Now if you watch the Honda one while I change perhaps the one here in the middle, let's say we got in a Chrysler PT Cruiser, I suppose. So we had Honda has now gone down to 4 as soon as I could change that. So I'll change this back as soon as I type in the word Honda here. Honda automatically increases over here to the right. So very easy. That was SUMIF and COUNTIF. Hopefully these will come in handy while you're working on various spreadsheets for your business or for the company you work for, or for whatever other purposes you might use Excel. My name is David Staples, and if you've got any further questions on Excel or various other technologies, certainly feel free to email me at either of the email addresses that I am putting on the screen here. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching.